On the business theme really now, because more big moves in the price of oil. Our business editor Stephen Carroll has more for us with the very latest on that, Stephen.
Stuart, we've seen the price of oil, of course, jump in the past 2 weeks since Russia invaded Ukraine, but it actually took a tumble on Wednesday following comments from the United Arab Emirates ambassador to Washington. He said the UAE was in favour of increasing supply within the OPEC group of oil-producing countries. Several hours later, the country's energy minister tweeted that they would stick to their current plans with the alliance. Oil prices reacted by slumping sharply. So yesterday we were talking about Brent crude around $127 a barrel. Today it's around $113, up slightly from the levels that it fell to, but still far below what it was this time yesterday. With more on this story, here's Yinka Oyatade.
The first signs of relief on the oil market after weeks of skyrocketing prices. Wednesday's respite was triggered by the United Arab Emirates, who became the first OPEC member to apparently back a push by Washington to pump more oil. In a statement, the UAE's ambassador to the US said,
"We favor production increases and will be encouraging OPEC to consider higher production levels."
The move comes as countries scramble to replace Russian supplies. But it seems officials in Abu Dhabi are not in agreement after the UAE's energy minister tweeted that the country was sticking to production targets with the oil-producing group OPEC and its allies, which include Russia. The group had announced last year that it would increase production by 400,000 barrels a day each month, a target it's so far struggled to meet. Nevertheless, the news sparked a plunge in oil prices, with potential relief for consumers who are paying record prices at the pump.
Cost of oil is good for the consumer. And, maybe what the market's signaling here is at some point we may see a resolution between Russia and Ukraine.
While the UAE tries to clarify its position, other OPEC members don't appear convinced about boosting supplies. Saudi Arabia, OPEC's de facto leader, has said it was not consulted before officials in the UAE came out in apparent support for increasing oil production.
The United States has called on oil giants there to increase production to help bring down record prices that Americans are paying at the pump. The Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, telling an industry conference that the country was on a war footing and that any company that could increase supply should do so quickly. Domestic oil production in the US hasn't recovered since the pandemic. President Biden had previously taken steps to limit drilling in parts of the country to encourage a move to renewable energy. Well, that drop in oil prices is helping to boost stock markets and trading today as fears over inflation have eased just a little. We are seeing falls on the European markets today, but these were markets that finished up massively in trading yesterday. Oil and gas companies among the companies trading lower as oil prices have come down, logically enough. On the Asian markets, though, we still had those gains powering through from trading on Wall Street and in Europe. The Nikkei in Tokyo finishing up by almost 4%. Next to the latest on global brands pulling their business out of Russia. Nintendo and Sony's PlayStation division have both halted shipments of hardware and software. Sony says that it's also suspended the online PlayStation store in Russia. For its part, Nintendo is delaying the release of a game called Advance Wars for the Switch because of what it describes as recent world events. And Twitter has launched a protected version of its platform for the Tor internet browser to allow Russian users to access the site. It follows similar moves by Facebook and media organisations like the BBC, which had been blocked by Moscow. Tor is a browser which hides a user's location and activity, all of a sudden becoming very useful in this situation, Stuart.
Yeah, not surprisingly. Thanks very much, Stephen. Stephen Carroll with business for us on France 24.